When Brooke Logan received the diagnosis, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't collapse. She simply sat there in the sterile hospital room, her hands still, her eyes fixed on the words that shattered the world she'd built. Stage 4 liver cancer. Inoperable. Aggressive. Terminal. The doctor's voice was calm, rehearsed. Treatment could help with pain. Slow the spread. But there was no cure. No miracle. She went home alone. Not to the Forrester estate. Not to Ridge. Just home. To silence. To think. She looked in the mirror that night and forced herself to smile. The woman who stared back was not weak. She was not defeated. She was Brooke Logan for decades, the heartbeat of a family that never stopped tearing itself apart and stitching itself back together. And she made a decision. No one could know. Not yet. Not while there were weddings, children, new beginnings. She refused to become the shadow hanging over everyone else's joy. Brooke carried the secret with practiced ease. At family gatherings, she smiled. At Hope's events, she laughed. She even greeted Taylor with a grace that caught everyone off guard. Ridge believed she had moved on, that her heartbreak over their fractured marriage had healed. And why not? He was moving on himself. Taylor was back in his life. Their children were at peace. The tension had lifted. The future felt open again. Until the cracks began to show. Brooke's strength began to fade. She passed out in the shower. Claimed it was dehydration. She missed a board meeting at Forrester, unheard of. She snapped at Donna for a minor mistake, then apologized profusely minutes later. Her skin grew pale. Her frame thinner. And still, she told no one. But Katie watched closely. Donna worried in whispers. And Ridge began to notice. He visited her one afternoon, unannounced, under the pretense of picking up a forgotten scarf. She was on the couch, curled under a blanket, face flushed, breath shallow. He stared. "Brooke, you look pale. Are you sick?" "No," she lied, smiling faintly. "Just tired." But Ridge knew her too well. And when he hugged her goodbye, he felt her ribs through her sweater. That night, he called Katie. "Is something wrong with Brooke?" Katie hesitated. "She says she's fine." "She's not." Ridge began digging. Quietly. He contacted her doctor, pulling favors, invoking family privilege. What he read hit him like a freight train. Liver cancer. Late stage. Months, maybe less. He stood there in the middle of the Spencer building, files in hand, and felt the world tilt. He rushed to her home, the door flying open before she could even finish saying his name. "Why didn't you tell me?" he demanded. Brooke, weak, stood her ground. "Because it's not your burden." "Damn it, Brooke," Ridge said, his voice breaking. "I should have been here. I should have known. You chose Taylor. That doesn't mean I stopped loving you." Tears welled in Brooke's eyes. "It's not about love anymore. It's about peace. And I wanted you all to have it. I didn't want to ruin what you finally found." Ridge fell to his knees in front of her, gripping her hands. "You are my peace. You always have been." The days that followed shattered the Logan and Forrester families. The news spread quietly at first, then in waves. Hope collapsed into her mother's arms, refusing to believe it. Donna clung to Brooke and sobbed like a child. Katie offered to take her to Europe for experimental trials. Eric called in favors from elite medical circles. Steffi, stunned, reached out despite their history. Even Taylor, stricken by guilt, visited her rival with tears in her eyes. "I never wanted it to end like this," Taylor whispered. Brooke nodded. "Neither did I." Ridge couldn't hide his pain. He stayed by Brooke's side, sleeping on her couch, cooking her meals, sitting in silence when she was too weak to speak. Taylor watched from a distance, her heart heavy. She saw Ridge drift. Not from obligation, but from love, raw, unfinished love that hadn't died, even when they thought it had. As Brooke's health declined, the family pulled closer. Hope postponed business trips. Liam stepped in with the kids. RJ returned from Europe. The Logan house filled with visitors, flowers, meals left at the door. But Brooke, through it all, kept smiling. She joked. She reassured. She asked about everyone else. She wore makeup even when it hurt. And behind closed doors, she wrote letters. One for each child, each sibling, even one for Taylor, and one for Ridge. He found it before she had a chance to give it to him. It was tucked inside her desk drawer, addressed in her elegant handwriting. My sweet Ridge, it began. If you're reading this, it means I didn't get to say goodbye the way I wanted. But please don't grieve. Don't let guilt steal the rest of your joy. I loved you when we were young, and I love you now. That never changed. Maybe we weren't meant to finish together, but we were meant to begin. And that counts for something. Take care of Taylor. Take care of our children. And if you ever feel the wind shift suddenly, or hear my favorite song in the wrong place, that's me. Still with you. Ridge couldn't finish it. He folded it back into its envelope and pressed it to his chest. The final days came swiftly. Brooke lost strength. The pain grew. She moved into hospice care at home. A nurse came daily. Friends rotated shifts. But Ridge never left. He sat beside her bed every night, holding her hand, whispering stories. And in those moments, there was no rivalry, no scandal, no triangle. Only Brooke and Ridge. Only love. One morning, just before dawn, she opened her eyes. Her voice was faint. Promise me something. Anything. Tell Hope to never stop loving, even when it hurts. Ridge nodded, unable to speak. And tell Taylor. I forgive her. You can tell her yourself, Ridge whispered, but Brooke just smiled. She passed that night. Peacefully. Gently, with Ridge's hand in hers. The funeral was private. Family only. A garden ceremony, simple and full of light. Eric spoke first. Hope read from her mother's journal. Katie couldn't get through her speech, so Donna finished it for her. Ridge said nothing at the podium. Instead, later that evening, alone, he stood by her grave and whispered, "You were the love of my life. You always will be." The fallout lingered. Taylor stepped back, giving Ridge space. Hope launched a foundation in Brooke's name for women battling late-stage cancer. The Logans drew closer than ever. RJ took over Brooke's wellness brand and promised to keep her legacy alive. But for Ridge, nothing would ever be the same. He had chosen the right thing, maybe, but too late. And Brooke, as always, bore it all with grace. She left the world not as the scandalous icon the tabloids loved, but as a woman who loved fiercely, forgave endlessly, and held her family together with quiet strength. Brooke Logan was gone. But she would never be forgotten.